Peace. This is Hermes Enaharo saying, "Come, let us reason together." As we enter the new millennium, the time has long since come for us to renew our minds, to stand up for our rights, and declare our independence from lacks, wants, and limitations, from the preconceived ideas and opinions of others, from empty, meaningless lives, and from the negativity of the world. It's time to take a bold step forward, to move to a higher state of consciousness and realize our purpose here on earth. Listen with an open mind to what follows, and let the spirit which God put in you be your guide. To accept the shallow is easy. To seek the profound is difficult. To discard the shallow and embrace the profound takes great courage.
Take these thoughts to consideration. Live in this state of consciousness where you can give God praises without being handicapped or conflicted with the mortal ideas and opinions and versions of men concerning limitations, lack and want, and adverse and undesirable conditions. For if you live in my state of consciousness, you will have the abundance of the fullness of all good things. In my state of consciousness, you have a plenty to eat, and to drink, and to wear. You have a plenty of money, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and every other desirable blessing in my state of consciousness. Any time that you lack for anything, it is because you are not in my state of consciousness. David caught the inspiration by revelation and spoke and said, "The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want." Live in this state of consciousness, and there will not be an expression of limitation, not in word, nor deed, nor in action. For the abundance of the fullness of all good things is wheresoever I am. It is indeed wonderful. Sowing seeds of limitation, sowing seeds of lack, sowing seeds of want, sowing seeds of adverse and undesirable conditions. Such is the expression of the mind of those who are living in mortal consciousness. Take these thoughts to consideration. Those of you who desire to go out to carry my message, you need to be qualified mentally, spiritually, and financially. You cannot carry my message rightly and righteously unless you are qualified mentally, spiritually, and financially. If you are expressing limitations, lacks, and wants, adverse and undesirable conditions, you are not expressing and manifesting the positive, for the positive is perfection. It is indeed wonderful. Once again, I wish to say to those desiring to go out to carry my message from time to time, as a special message to be established in any other city or town, remember, you must go absolutely independent to person or persons as far as individuals are concerned, and rely upon the fundamental of this truth and stand independent to those with whom you come in contact. If you do not, you are not rightfully and righteously carrying my message. You can preach Christ in deed and in action, more than in words. You are preaching Christ in deed and in action when you are expressing the abundance of the fullness of all good things. That is the purpose for which Christ came, that he might redeem mankind and bring him back to the Garden of Eden, from whence he was driven. The Garden of Eden was a place of the abundance, of the fullness, and the stressful thought that was conveyed to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden was to eat and enjoy themselves and dress the garden. Eating was one of the main essentials, and there was abundance there as well as to eat. It was not to eat sparingly, but a full and a plenty, to partake of every tree, saving the tree of the knowledge of good and of evil. Through the violation of the law, man was driven from the Garden of Eden, and the Christ consciousness came as a fundamental principle to redeem man that he might have a right to the tree of life and enter back into this state of consciousness where there is a full and a plenty. There is no need for none of you, or for any of you, or one of you, to tell me you are expressing need when you are expressing lack, want, adverse and undesirable conditions. Take these thoughts to consideration. The time has truly come when the tree is known by the fruit it bears. It is indeed wonderful. There are thousands who claim to believe in me, desiring to live in the old Adamic state of consciousness, and think they can get back to the tree of life from which they were driven. They think they can get back there and live in the Adamic state of consciousness. If you are living in Adam, you cannot expect to get your rightful inheritance. In Jesus the Christ is the only way for you to return and enter into the kingdom, of which is back to the Garden of Eden. It is indeed wonderful. When you shall have come to the Christ consciousness and live therein, the abundance of the fullness of all good things will be where you are, even as it is where I am. It is indeed wonderful. And if perchance there would be an appearance of a lack or a want or limitation, such seeds are impractical. They are undesirable. They are unprofitable. Therefore, I would not sow them. If there be an appearance of a seed of the tare to be reflected in your experiences, if you are conscious of God's presence, you would deny negation. You would deny limitation. You would deny the adverse conditions, and you would refuse to sow them. You would refuse to reproduce them. You would refuse to snapshot them. You would refuse to broadcast them over your radio. You would refuse to talk them over your telephone. You would ignore them completely and would not give them any ground to enter your state of consciousness. I know the seeds that were sown, after which the enemy came and sowed tares. Nevertheless, it is for you to root up such seeds or such plants that will spring up, and completely ignore them instead of reproducing them and transplanting them in your field. It is indeed wonderful. Know ye not your bodies are as fields, and especially your mind, your mentality? Your mentality is as a field. The seed ideas that are sown therein, you will produce them for someone, if not for yourselves. The seed ideas of perfection, the seed ideas of positiveness, the seed ideas of desirableness, the seed ideas of profitableness, and every desirable idea of an expression. I sow such seeds in the consciousness of the people, that they might be reproduced and brought to fruition. And eventually the time will come, we will have a full and a plenty of such seed ideas, and of such fruit of such seed ideas that are being sown in the mind of men. It is indeed wonderful. I am sowing them, and I am striving to get you to sow the same. The positive, the perfect, the pure, the desirable, the real, the true. Sow these seeds at all times, and refuse to sow the simplest seed idea of negation or negativeness or any undesirable expression, for such would be the destruction of the coming generation. To establish fields or worlds of negation through sowing seed ideas of negativeness. Take these thoughts to consideration. Live in this recognition, giving God the praise continually. Give thanks continually at the remembrance of his presence, recognizing the presence of God wheresoever you are. Allow these thoughts to be uppermostly in your consciousness, and you will find in the upper state of my consciousness negation and negativeness and unprofitableness, impracticalness do not grow. The climate in the upper state of my consciousness is not suitable for those negative seed ideas that mortality is sowing in the consciousness of men. It is not the climate in which negation grows. Neither is it the climate in which unprofitableness or impracticableness grows. It is indeed wonderful. Nothing but the desirable, the pure, the true, the practical, the useful, and every desirable expression that will work for the highest good of the people and for the establishment of the kingdom of heaven. Only such we will produce in our state, especially in the upper state of our consciousness. For the climate will not produce negation, nor any such fruit that grows down in the mortal state of consciousness. I thank you.
Thank you for listening, and we thank Mother Divine for reading from Father Divine's message. Until we meet again, this is Aaron Hermes Enaharo saying peace.
We thank you, Father and Mother Divine.